it will be like when I walk by your side. I can only imagine what my eyes will see when your face is before me. I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus? Or in awe of you be still? Will I stand in your presence? Or to my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I can only imagine when that day comes and I find myself standing in the sun. I can only imagine when all I would do is forever, forever worship you. I can only imagine, yeah. I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus? Or in awe of you be still? Will I stand in your presence? Or to my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine. Yeah, I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus? Or in awe of you be still? Will I stand in your presence? Or to my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine. Yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I can only imagine when all I would do is forever, forever worship you. I can only imagine.
Welcome. My name is Brian Bernard. I'm pastor here at Grand Avenue Baptist Church, where the Humphrey family has attended for many years. Well before my time here, even I'm told that Geneva used to show up in her Sunday best every Sunday morning, hair all done up to be at church. But today, it is with incredible pain and sorrow that you and I gather together. There's a lot of sorrow because Geneva, Eleese, Myrical, Humphrey was loved by so many, and that's reflected by all of you who are here today. And there are not easy answers to the questions that we might be asking. The question that keeps running through my head on a regular basis this week is this really true? Did it really happen? No one wants the early morning phone call from the hospital. It's a nightmare that becomes reality, and that's what happened Sunday morning. We expect the elderly to pass, but not the young, which makes today all the more difficult. We know, do we not, that things are not right. We're not supposed to gather for a 20-year-old. Geneva was young with so much life to live and so much life to give. We grieve for Geneva, don't we? And we grieve for her family. And we grieve together because in this room, what unites all of us is her. I'm reminded of what Jesus said to his disciples 2,000 years ago. In the book of John, chapter 16, verse 33, Jesus said this, "I have told you these things so that in me you might have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." Jesus spoke these words to his disciples in the last week of his life before Jesus would depart. And he wanted to encourage his followers. I have told you these things. He told them to remember the promises that he had made. Because in remembering those promises, you will have peace in turbulent, uncertain, difficult times. And so again, I ask myself, is this really true? You know, on incredibly difficult days like this, we need peace, a peace that only comes from Jesus. And in moments when our pain cuts deep, because Geneva was a gift to so many, I'm reminded that she was not only loved by those in this room, but she was loved by her Creator, God, the same God who sent his son Jesus to conquer sin and death and offers peace and assurance to us today. Jesus has overcome death, and so Geneva walks in new life with her Creator, even in this moment. And yet we still grieve because we've lost a daughter, a sister, and a friend. So let me begin by taking us before the throne of God in prayer and just ask that he would give us peace in our hearts today. Father, we come before you confused and broken. Our hearts are hurting. But God, I pray that you will give us a peace that surpasses understanding, even in the midst of our grief. And so God, I pray over this service as we remember Geneva, as we celebrate who she was. God, I pray you'd call to mind all of those memories. And yet at the same time, God, would we encounter your grace and mercy in a fresh way today. Thank you, God, that you are a God who is great and sent his son, Jesus, to die. And because of that, we do have hope. But today, as we grieve, I pray that we would find peace in you. Thank you for this time. We pray this in your name. Amen. We'd like to begin this service this afternoon by worshiping together. Ask Jason and Carrie to come. And they're going to remind us of who our God is through singing. That he's a God who brings hope and gives rest. He is a door for us to walk through into new life. We're going to put the words on the screen behind me. You are welcome to sing along if you'd like. You may not know the lyrics. You can also just reflect on the truth that is being sung today.
To the hopeless and light to those
to the restless and joy to homes that are broken. I see you now. In you I'm found, and you open the door for me, and you lay down your life to set me free. All that I am will serve you, Lord. Oh, you fill those who are empty and rescue those in the valley, and through it all, you calm my soul. Now you find me in my weakness and heal the wounds of my heartache. I worship you in spirit and truth, and you open the door for me, and you lay down your life to set me free. All that I am will serve you, Lord, and you open my eyes to see all the wonder and awe of Christ in me. Jesus, you're everything I need. All honor, all glory, all praise to you. All honor, all glory, all praise to you. Jesus, you're everything I need.
It is incredibly difficult to capture a lifetime in a single memorial service like this. We're going to hear from some people in a little bit who would like to speak about the life of Geneva, but first what we like to do is to celebrate, remember her life. A slideshow was put together of pictures and videos for us to see together. So we're going to play that before we move forward.
thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Jesus saw me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God. He to rescue me from danger interposed his precious blood. How his kindness yet pursues me, mortal tongue can never tell. Clothed in flesh till death shall loose me, I cannot proclaim it well. And oh, to grace how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness like a fetter bind my wandering heart to thee. And prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. Oh, that day when free from sinning, I shall see thy lovely face, clothing in my blood-washed linen. How I'll sing thy sovereign grace. Oh, I'll sing my song of grace. I will sing my song of grace. I will sing my song of grace. Come now, Lord, do not tarry. Take my ransom soul away. Come, my Lord, do not tarry. Take my ransom soul away. Come, my Lord, do not tarry. Take my ransom soul away. Send thine angel.
Under my umbrella, yeah.
your tithe and bring your shame. Bring your guilt and bring your pain. Don't you know that's not your name? You will always be much more to me. And every day I wrestle with the voices that keep telling me I'm not right. But that's alright, 'cause I hear a voice and he calls me every day. When others say I'll never be enough. And greater is
You light me up inside like the 4th of July. Whenever you're around, I always seem to smile. And people ask me how, well, you're the reason why I'm dancing in the mirror and singing in the shower.
And greater is the one living inside of me than he who is living in the world. Bring your doubts and bring your fears. Bring your hurt and bring your tears. There'll be no condemnation here. You are holy, righteous, and redeemed. And every time I fall, there'll be those who will call me a mistake. Well, that's okay, 'cause I hear a voice and he calls me every day. When others say I'll never be enough. And greater is the one living inside of me than he who is living in the world. In the world. In the world. And greater is the one living inside of me than he who is living in the world. He's greater. There'll be days I lose the battle. Grace says that it doesn't matter, 'cause the cross already won the war.
You take my love for granted. I just don't understand it. No, I'm too good to you. I'm way too good to you. You take my love for granted. I just don't understand it.
'Cause the cross already won the war. I'm learning to run freely, understanding just how he sees me, and it makes me love him more and more. 'Cause I hear a voice and he calls me every day. When others say I'll never be enough. And greater is the one living inside of me than he who is living in the world. In the world. In the world. And greater is the one living inside of me than he who is living in the world. Come on. There'll be days I lose the battle. Grace says that it doesn't matter, 'cause the cross already won the war. He's greater. He's greater. I'm learning to run freely, understanding just how he sees me, and it makes me love him more and more. God is greater than he who is living in the world. You're in a better place, I've heard 1,000 times. And at least 1,000 times I've rejoiced for you. But the reason why I'm broken, the reason why I cry, is how long must I wait to be with you? I close my eyes and I see your face. If home's where my heart is, then I'm out of place. Lord, won't you give me strength to make it through somehow? I've never been more homesick than now. wonder if I'll ever know. But even if you showed me, the hurt would be the same, 'cause I'm still here, so far away from home. I close my eyes and I see your face. If a home's where my heart is, then I'm out of place. Lord, won't you?
Hello, I'm Terry with a Y.
And I'm Terry with an I. I'm a dance major.
And I'm not.
5, 6, 7, 8. 7, 8, turn! And turn. Why didn't you turn?
Because we never agreed to do this.
You said this was going to be cool.
No one said this was going to...
And in Christ there is no end. So I'll hold on to Jesus with all that I have, to see you again, to see you again. And I close my eyes and I see your face. If home's where my heart is, then I'm out of place. Lord, won't you give me strength to make it through somehow? Won't you give me strength to make it through somehow? Won't you give me strength to make it through somehow? I've never been more homesick than now.
Good memories. Mom and Dad, Trezure, Tony, what a great family to be a part of. It's so cool to see those pictures, isn't it? And to see the joy that she lived life with. Geneva was born spring day, May 8th, 2001. On that day, actually, Rona had, her mother had actually gone to the Corvallis clinic for a doctor's appointment. When the doctor had told her, you need to go straight over to the hospital and check in. This baby is coming. And so she called William on the phone. I got to go to the hospital. At the time, he was at school, and he said, can you come pick me up? You see, at the time, they only had one car. In fact, they just bought a car, the new Jetta, so that just for the arrival of this baby girl. But Rona informed William she could not come pick him up. He would have to take the bus. And I can't imagine waiting for that bus and the bus ride to the hospital that day to meet your baby girl. But William arrived in plenty of time. Geneva was born late that evening. She was born in Corvallis, but within a couple years would move to Albany, where Geneva grew up. Geneva was strong-willed. She liked things her way. When she was young, she refused to wear matching shoes, a black shoe, a white shoe. She had her own style. It's memories like that, I think, that we hold on to. She actually went to preschool here at Grant Avenue, our preschool. In fact, when you came in, there was a table out there. You can see some of her artwork and stuff that she made while in preschool. Mom and Dad did a great job of keeping all of her stuff all of these years. She grew up attending this church, went to Sunday school here, Vacation Bible School. It was in August of 2015 that she was baptized right here in this church. I tell you what, I'm so thankful that she made a commitment to Christ. And that faith, the faith that Geneva expressed when she was younger, is now realized because our God is a faithful God. When she hit middle school, she was too old to come to our Vacation Bible schools here at church, so she began to volunteer actually at the Vacation Bible School. One leader told me that I was talking to that she was an incredible helper and she had a heart for kids. And that describes Geneva well. She had a heart for people, did she not? Geneva was creative. I don't know if you saw when you came in, there's a book in the Welcome Center there on the table, a book that she wrote when she was in 4th grade. And as you flip through it, you can flip through it, but it's entitled Gloria Humphrey and the Lost School. And Gloria Humphrey is Geneva Humphrey. And it's a story, a really good story about a school that disappears. A comical book. My favorite part of the book, though, you can read it, is when she puts a rubber snake in the bed of her parents. What I also love is she's done the artwork there, and you see the snake in the bed, and you see Dad, full head of hair and this awesome mustache. But in the back of the book, you'll see an about author. She wrote about herself, and here's how she described herself. Geneva Humphrey, born May 8th, 2001. She started writing a book in 4th grade at Timber Ridge School. Geneva gets tons of compliments on her illustrations from her classmates. This story is made from scratch. Geneva did all of the work and effort in this book and hopes her classmates enjoy it. Geneva lives in Albany, Oregon with her parents and younger sister. And those are the memories, right, that we hold on to and that we celebrate today. And I know, Mom and Dad, that you would love to sing Elmo's World again to her. But kids grow up, and I know that you would give anything for another late night run to Taco Bell for her favorite bean and cheese burrito, extra red sauce, no onions. I'm told that Dad was often the one sent out to go make sure she had what she wanted. Geneva was driven. She worked, she made money. When she was 19 years old, she bought a new car, so proud and excited to bring that home. She was described to me as an outspoken introvert. She loved people, and she loved her own space as well. But she really did love her friends and love you who are here. In elementary school, on one occasion, she had all her friends over to her house for a backyard sleepover. Huge setup, tent set up in the backyard, projector, air mattress, glow sticks. She'd have so much fun. Rona told me that came a point when she had to kick all the girls out of the house. If they're going to have a party, it was in the backyard. And so that's what they did. Geneva loved her friends, and her friend loved her. When she was in middle school, Mom and Dad took Geneva and 10 others to a roller skating rink in Eugene. But first, they made the ill-advised stop at the mall with a group of teenage girls. They ended up messing up all the mannequins, crawling under and through all the clothes racks, running up and down wrong direction on the escalator. I can imagine the chaos of everyone gathered together. Good memories. But Dad and Mom, you raised a good daughter who cared about people. William and Rona shared with me how Geneva would invite people to come stay at their house even, overnight for extended periods of time if someone needed a place to stay. One time, a friend of hers who wanted to run away from home, Geneva brought home to the Humphrey house to live. Of course, Mom called the other mom to make sure all was well. But that's Geneva. She cared about people. She loved taking care of people. That's why she got a job as a caretaker. A caretaker at a senior adult home and an adult foster home house as well. Geneva was a gift to everyone. I wish we had time for everyone who's here to be able to share stories, and afterwards you'll be invited to hang around and talk with one another and maybe even encourage each other with stories that you have of Geneva. But we wanted to take some time to allow a couple people who are here to be able to share their memories and thoughts. And so we'll begin by asking Mayor Alexander Johnson to come up and share with us.
Thank you. Everyone hear me? Good. I prepared some statements. I'm going to read a statement, and then I'm going to tell you a couple stories about Geneva. I'd like to express my sincerest condolences to every member of the Humphrey family and all that are gathered here today to celebrate the life of one of the kindest and sweetest souls that has ever graced our presence. At that tragic moment, Albany and our world lost a precious gift, and we're all sorry for our loss. Our world is a little darker because her living light is no more. She will forever live in our memories and our hearts. However, we are not here to mourn Geneva, but to celebrate her life and the time with us, to share with each of our moments in time to illustrate how Geneva was a blessing at some point in each of our lives. She had a smile that lit up the room and softened the hardest heart. She loved to dance, and she did so with grace and joy. In her memory, I went to watch South Albany dance today at the high school at West Albany. And it was I remembered her dances, and it brought tears to my eyes because she's no more dancing. She's not dancing anymore. I do want to share a couple things with you. Geneva, she actually saved my life, and she didn't know it. My wife and family bought me a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, and one of the things I did from time to time, I would have a drink, and I'd ride my bike, or have a drink and then get on my bike. And so we're at Avery Park one afternoon at a family dinner, a big gathering, and I put my drink right next to my motorcycle, and she looked at it, and she saw me, and she looked up at me, and she walked around and looked right at me and goes, "Boop." That was the last time I had a drink and rode my motorcycle. So Geneva saved my life. So at work also, when she was at Walmart, I would see her, and I'd be picking up something for my business or something for work, or officiating, and she would say, "Mr. Johnson," or "AJ, how are you doing?" "I'm fine." And she'd give me a hug, and I'd kiss her on her forehead, and she would talk about school and dance, the competitions coming up, and can I come? And sometimes I'd show up a little late, and they'd be on the floor, and she wouldn't see me, but she was so graceful and so happy to be dancing amongst the crowd. It was wonderful to see that. And then in 2018, I was running for office as a city councilor. I got a text message at 11 o'clock at night after election results were posted. "Congratulations, AJ. Talk to you tomorrow." Was it. Of the thousands or hundreds I received that night, that one was most special because that was the youngest person that had reached out to me. It was amazing to me that a young person said, "Congratulations, AJ." And in 2020, I saw her after the election. I won for mayor. She gave me a hug, and she says, "Congratulations, AJ. You're going to be a great mayor." So she left me with some work to do. And so if you have a story about Geneva, to celebrate Geneva, please share it with us, whether up here or in the room, anteroom outside after this moment is over. But I thank you for all coming today, and Rona, Will, your mother was waiting for her when she got there, arms open and just embracing her. And I feel free, and I love all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'd like to ask Erlene Wilson-Huey to come up here and share as well.
So I got to put on my dollar store reading glasses. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm humbled and I'm honored that the family asked me to speak. I'd like to give thanks to the Creator for sharing with us the precious gift that we call Geneva, Eleese, Myrical, Humphrey. Never in a million years did I think I would be standing before you today on this occasion. Honestly, like many of you, I'm struggling with the decision of calling her home so soon. I wasn't ready. We weren't ready. None of us were ready. Yet we are here. I've known Geneva all of her life. I had the privilege of watching her grow and mature into a young woman that we all love. There's an African proverb that says, "A child is what you put into him or her." And she was filled with so much love. She was a village baby. And there's another African proverb that says it takes a whole village to raise a child. And she had that. She had a whole village, which was rich with so much social capital. She had a positive network of adult role models. And we used to come together all the time for Sunday dinners and barbecues and get together on the holidays. And just because the sun was out in Oregon, we pulled a grill out. She knew that she could call on any of us at any time for support, especially when she was selling something for school. She lived life to the fullest, as you all saw on those pictures. You know, they say that the eyes are the window to the soul. And you can see in her eyes the life and the love. Thank you. She loved dance. She was working to be a counselor. She was going to be done in March. But as the pastor said, she was so driven and determined. And whatever she put her mind to, she succeeded. She was forced to play some sports when she was younger. And Rona and Will were sharing with me how fierce she was on the court, and she hated when people would try to steal the ball from her. And if they did, she hustled and put it in the overdrive to get it back. Now, she wasn't that great of a shooter, but she played hard. Her friend Cedar, I asked her, describe her. What was her friendship like? How was she? And she was saying that she's so compassionate. She was loving, she was loyal, and she was that ride or die friend. They were telling me, you know, she's the one that would wear her feelings on her sleeve. And she tried to have that hard exterior, but deep down she was soft and so loving. Now you saw pictures of her cat. The cat's name is Mystery. And the mystery was that she didn't know if the cat was a boy or girl at first. The other part of the mystery was that her parents didn't know she had the cat. Now, the family had a description for the cat. They called him skittish. And Geneva didn't care for that too much. She would correct them and say, he's not skittish, especially to her mom. It's just your approach. She would say that he was opinionated. Be careful what you say, because he's listening, and you could hurt his feelings. Once it was found out that she had the cat, one of Will's co-workers suggested that she name him Mr. Ree, and she liked that, and so she changed it to that. It was still Mystery. When she was little, she would ask Will for a cat, and he'd always say no, but some kind of way the cat ended up in the house. She was very funny. She did some of the weirdest things. There apparently was a trampoline incident that she fell off, and she shook it off and got up and kept on pushing. She was so passionate about dance. And she was known for her jumps and her toe touch and C-pops. And she had great high kicks. And she worked so hard to master her craft. They told me, you know, she played some instruments too. The guitar, the trumpet, and the violin. Now, she hated the violin, and her daddy made her do the lessons. And he would tell her she needs to practice. And so she'd go in her room, and she'd be crying, and Will said the violin would be all wet. And she'd be in there making it squeak at the loudest. To the point that Will was like, well, maybe we should give her a break. She was so excited about winning the 3A state championship. That was one of the highlights. Now, Geneva had a mean-looking resting face and a side eye that was out of this world. but she was so loving. When you was in, you was in. And you was out if you did something. She loved her sisters. Now, her and Trezure, they go at it from time to time, but there was always love. And I saw a comment that she made about her big sister, Tony, on her birthday. She said, "Happy birthday to my older sister, Tony Young, also known as Antonisia, Tug, Tuggy, Tugawooga, Chug, and Tug Floyd. She's been there for me through some of my toughest times. And even when she's not here, I know I can always talk to her about anything. She's one of the strongest females I've ever met. And I look up to her. She's not only my sister, she's one of the best friends and biggest supporters." The pastor mentioned how creative she was. And I was surprised by that book. When Rona told me she wrote a book, I was thinking, you know, as parents, kids, they draw little stick figures, you put it up on the refrigerator. And she had that book bound. It was over 24 pages. She did all the art. I was like, wait a minute, we need to get this published. And she was so proud of her coat. Because of the work that she put in to get it. We loved her. She tried to be the best at everything she did. Her makeup game was on point. As you can see, she walked out flawless. And she wasn't too particular about dresses. But when she had to wear one, she was dressed to the nines. It was one of them fabulous long gowns that she loved. In her room, she had good vibes only. She liked positivity. And she was proud. I wanted to read this poem I came across. It's called "Until We Meet Again." We think of you always. We talk about you still. You've never been forgotten and you never will. We hold you close within our hearts, and there you will remain, to walk and guide us through our lives until we meet again. So Geneva, as you danced in the light with joy, love lifted you. As you brushed against this world so gently, you lifted us. I want to thank the family for sharing your daughter with us, sharing your sister with us, your niece. We're going to be all right. This is hard. But Geneva's light was so bright that it's still going to be shining even after we leave here today. So,
Thank you for that. As she mentioned, dance was a big part of Geneva's life, from ballet as a little girl to the South Albany dance team state championship her junior year. So I'm going to ask her middle school coach, Coach Ashley, to come up and share now.
Okay. My name is Ashley, like you said. And I didn't write anything in advance because I just knew that the story was going to be more from my heart than it was from a piece of paper. And then I knew that I wasn't going to be able to stand up here and read a piece of paper. I have coached for this year 16 years, and I've talked in front of a lot of people, a lot of big crowds, and still this one is probably the hardest that I have had to do. So I figured I'd just tell you a little story. About 8 years ago, I transitioned from the type of coaching I was doing. I had this kind of off-the-wall idea that I wanted to start giving opportunities to kids a little bit earlier than a lot of times what they had gotten in our district. High school dance was getting so much more competitive, and kids were just coming in with crazy experience and talent in all different communities. And in our community, there is such a different range of kids that we get an opportunity to meet. And not all of those kids get opportunities in our community. And so I decided that I wanted to try to fix a little bit of that. So 8 years ago, I, on the fly, grabbed some of the best people that I know, some of which are here today. And I said, hey, I have this idea. Hey, you want to coach middle schoolers now? And they're like, huh? I'm like, how about a middle school dance team? What do you think of that? And they're like, okay, sure. And I was like, all right, well, let's, a couple weeks from now, let's get this thing rolling. So we just on the fly threw some things together, and we were just hoping that things were that people were even going to show up, because we didn't really know how kids in the community felt about that. So the first day came of practice, and we were so excited. We all showed up at the gym early, and we were like, oh my God, I wonder who's going to show up. And the kids started rolling in the door, and we were excited. There was a pretty decent group of kids, probably more than what we expected there to be. And then there was that moment of, what did we do? What are we going to do with them? And so we worked and worked and worked a little bit. And these kids came from all over the city. So some of them knew each other and some didn't. And there was a particular group of kids that we could tell had known each other before. And they were a particularly funny group of kids. Most of which kind of jumped into things pretty quick. You could tell that they were, all right, we'll try whatever you tell us. And then I had one that was a little bit more of that side-eye that you heard about. The one that was like, you're asking me to do what? And I was like, guys, what are we going to do with this one? Does she like this or not? I don't know yet. So I was like, do we just keep doing? Because she showed up every day. And so I was like, she must come for a reason, So we kept working at it and working at it. And then you just saw the change. And that is the moment that I knew that we had built trust. And that's when I knew that is what she had been looking for, was to know that she could trust what we were doing. And Geneva, of course, she was the light of our gym. There was not a day that we didn't laugh, whether it was her falling over herself or telling a really stupid joke at a really inappropriate time. It didn't matter because she lifted the room. And as the days went on, we got the opportunity to see who this kid really was. And then next thing you knew, this kid that we were like, ooh, what do we do? We were like, oh, should we make her a captain? And that's how things can change so quickly when you build trust with kids like this and when you give them a chance to be who they are. And as soon as Geneva knew that we liked her for her and that we were going to deal with whatever she threw at us, which was plenty, that she was going to be okay. And from that day, she never turned back, ever. Dance was in her heart. Dance was her heart. I got the privilege of coaching her that full season. And then I actually just recently went back and looked at some of my social media posts. And I found the one that said, it was a really proud coach moment. She was one of my first 3 to graduate from my middle school program and make her high school team. And so she was one of 3 kids that I got the opportunity to send off on her next journey, coming from the first year that we had done this program, and I couldn't have been more proud. And then I got the opportunity to be her cheerleader. And although I couldn't get rid of her, she kept coming back and coming back. And not only was I her biggest cheerleader, but she was her sister's biggest cheerleader. I got the opportunity to have Trezure with me also, which was extremely special because I got to see Geneva be Trezure's cheerleader too, knowing what passion Geneva had for the sport. She got to pass that on to Trezure, and I got to see a bond build, not just as sisters, but as motivators and supporters. And as the years went on, Geneva's journey went up and down, and then her life took her away from dance for a little period of time, and it just happened to be that her senior year of high school, I got the opportunity to jump back in as the head coach of the high school, and she figured that out, and she came to me and she said, "Coach, will you please let me try?" And I said, "Of course." And I knew that no matter what happened from that day, she trusted every decision that I made. Whether it was something she wanted to hear or didn't want to hear, she always made sure that I knew that she trusted me, even if it was hard moments. She said, "It's okay, Coach, I understand." And that's a hard place to get to with kids sometimes, is when you have to tell them no, or you have to tell them not this time, that they say, "It's okay, I understand. You're doing the right thing." And that was Geneva. She always owned her good and she owned her bad. She was the first one to say, "Yeah, I did that. My bad." I'm like, "All right, well, I guess I can't really be too mad now because you owned it. I didn't even have to call you on it." And I will just never forget Geneva's heart. She was always the first one to text me or call me and say, "Hey, good job, Coach. I wish I could be there and watch the kids." And that's something special that I carry with me, because after all these years, she still reached out to me. So it is really tough to know that I'm not going to get those messages anymore. But I am so grateful that she'll get to see all the work that the kids are doing now. I got the opportunity this last week to share her story and the impact that she had in the program with the 47 kids I have on my team right now. And they were in awe. The light on their faces hearing about this kid that had brought so much and that had started this journey 8 years ago into where they are now was really cool to see. And now that is a name that they will never forget, and that will always pass down with these generations of dancers. And I know that every one of these kids that's ever done this with her will always pass on her name as somebody that started a legacy like that. And so I'm just super, super grateful that I got all of the opportunities that I did. I cannot thank you two enough for, number one, letting me be such a big part of her life, and number two, for letting me be here with you and to share her love with everybody else. And I know that, I don't have the long, eloquent stories that everybody else does, but I knew I wouldn't be able to hold it together for much longer. So thank you, and she'll be dancing for a long time.
Thank you. Okay, last, we're going to have another coach, Coach Amanda, come up here and share as well.
There's a lot of love in this room right now. I'm Amanda Gavette. I had the blessing of coaching Geneva in dance her first 2 years of high school and the last 2 years of my coaching career. I want to start with some words from our state song of 2017. That was Geneva's sophomore year in high school, and none of us could have asked for a better season that year. Once those dancers stepped out on the floor with their state routine, they never fell from that first place spot. They were state champs. That year, our state theme was this gift. And the first four lines of that song are this: this gift will last forever. This gift will never let you down. Some things are made from better stuff. This gift is waiting to be found. These first four lines remind me a lot of the dancer that I knew, Geneva. Geneva was a gift made from better stuff. I'll never forget Geneva's beautiful smile, her dimples, her piercing eyes. She was stunning in beauty and in spirit. She had a very strong spirit. Some might even say she was a little sassy. But you know what? That's one of the things I admired and respected in her the most. She was a fierce competitor on that dance floor and in life. She was clutch. This girl was a natural-born athlete, one that I tried to convince to go out for the track team because I knew my husband would have loved to have a track athlete like her, but she didn't want to work that hard. Which is really funny when I think about it because she busted her tail end in dance. She was there at 5:45 every morning at school, often 3 to 4 hours on Saturdays, plus those really long competition weekends, and I was not an easy coach. Partway through her sophomore year during a break in practice, Geneva and I were talking, and she told me, "You know, when I first met you, I was kind of scared of you." To which I replied, "Oh." And then she said, "But you're actually pretty cool." And we both laughed, and I think I gave her a quick hug before returning to practice, and her dad even reminded me of that when we were talking on the phone the other day, and we all laughed about it. When I think of Geneva as an athlete, I think of her as a true athlete. We often took time to read and talk about life lessons for athletes in practice. Geneva had a genuine confidence that came from accomplishments through daily work habits that were always directed towards achieving excellence of her goals and her dreams. She was a goal, G-O-A-L, a goal digger for sure. Geneva made a daily choice to have a teachable spirit. She showed a lot of discipline with her focused attention and her effort in practices and in competition. She was attentive, enthusiastic, and energized at dance. I don't recall having to make a lot of corrections with Geneva simply because she would take in what I was saying to others, and she always looked for ways to apply it to herself. She always showed respect to the coaches on my staff. She was not determined. Geneva was not deterred by bumps in the road. She continually visualized the finished product. and she was committed to continuous improvement. Her mental toughness as a dancer and athlete always inspired me. Geneva took pride in the shared joy of an inner circle. Only committed teammates like Geneva and her teammates know what it takes to be as good as they were. Unselfishness, ownership of behavior, determination to prepare, and demonstration of humility. Geneva was a leader. She served her team with honor and respect. She served with her heart. She was passionate about dance, and she had the ability to spread that passion to her team and to her other members. Great teams are made up of individuals who were given up their quest for individual glory, who were willing and wholeheartedly embrace the character traits of a team player, and who fully commit themselves to the group effort. Geneva was selfless in this sense. Geneva was a champion. At this point in the conversation, Geneva would probably be wiping away some tears or smiling timidly, and then she'd crack some wisecrack, dry sense of humor jokes so that we could, move on. I'll miss her sense of humor. But before I wrap up today, I'd like to end with the last few lines of our state routine, This Gift. And we all know from what everybody's been saying tonight, everybody keeps calling her a gift. Geneva's presence in our life was a true gift. Don't hang your head in sorrow. Don't give up just before you win. Don't wait around for tomorrow. Open up your arms and let it in. Your heart's in wide receiving. Geneva loved her friends and her family so deeply. And the love and the pride that I always witnessed in all of them at the end of a great dance competition told me that she was loved so deeply in return, and I loved Geneva. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Geneva would want us to hang our heads in sorrow for too long. She would want us to remember her and spread kindness and love. She would want us to open our arms and let it all in. If ever, for sure, our hearts are now in wide receiving. Hug one another a little longer today. Smile when you think of our beautiful girl's smile. And although she was taken from us far too soon, the impact she left on all of us is immeasurable. She was made from better stuff. And I know she's dancing in heaven with the angels, free, looking down on us, cracking jokes and smiling. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm going to invite Jason and Carrie back up here. They're going to share one more song with us, the last song they're going to share today. The lyrics of this song come from an old hymn, It Is Well. You may have heard it before, but we thought we want to share with you a different version of it that's more contemporary, so it felt like that was more in line with Geneva. And so, again, we'll put the lyrics on the screen, but I hope that this song would bless your soul in these moments.
The grand earth's quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice, and seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken for my regard. And through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. Far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst midst of the sea. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And it is well. And it is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and winds still know his name. So let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and winds still know his name. The waves and wind still know his name. And it is well with my soul. And it is well with my soul. And it is well with my soul. And it is well, it is well with my soul. And 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 it is well, it is well with my soul. And it is well, it is well with my soul. And it is well, it is well with my soul.
Amen. It is well with my soul. But what do we do on days like this when those words are not easy to declare? I know that it is well with Geneva's soul today, but we don't feel that way. So if you would with me, I just want to share just briefly as we wrap up here, I hope a word of encouragement to you today. And I want to share with you a couple verses from the Bible because I believe this strongly. For it to be well with our soul, you don't need good words from a pastor. You need a good word from God. That's what we need in moments like this. Because I'm full of questions, just like you. Why did God allow this to happen? Why at age 20 is Geneva gone? And I don't have the answers. I don't. I do know that God is not scared of those questions. He is not overwhelmed by our grief or even our anger. I know that God was with Geneva on Saturday night, and he is right here with us today in this moment. There's this encounter with Jesus, the encounter that Jesus has with crowds in his ministry 2,000 years ago. It's recorded in the book of Matthew. Jesus gives an invitation to the people in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. Jesus says this, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." That word weary means to be exhausted. The word burden is the picture of something heavy on our shoulders, and it's just hard to take another step. Maybe that describes you today, this past week. Weary and burdened. Rest is what Jesus offers. He gives it out freely. This is an invitation of Jesus. He invites us to bring all of our grief and questions and exhaustion to him. He is ready to put it onto his shoulders. Jesus is ready to give rest. He isn't hiding it. He gives with abundance the rest that we need in moments like this. He knows sorrow, Jesus does, and he knows grief. He understands death. He weeps with us. Jesus had a friend. In the book of John, we read another story of Jesus' friend Lazarus who's passed away. And Jesus makes the journey to be with the family. When he gets there, he sees that it is true. He'd been asking the same question, is this true? Is this true? And he gets there, it is true. Lazarus has died. And it's then that we read the shortest verse in the whole Bible. Jesus wept. He cried. He was in grief because his friend had passed. Jesus knows the grief in our hearts today. We grieve, and Jesus says, "Come to me." The rest that Jesus is offering doesn't always include answers, but does include peace, a supernatural peace that surpasses understanding. This rest is comfort for our pain. It is strength in our weakness. But it is also a rest that is spiritual. You know, apart from Jesus, our souls are restless. In the program you got when you came in, right on the inside part of the cover, there's a verse there from Revelation chapter 3, verse 20. And this is actually, again, a quote that Jesus said these words. And again, an invitation is given. Jesus said this, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him and will dine with him, and he with me." Another invitation. Jesus is inviting himself into your life. He knocks at the door of your soul and says, "I want to be a part of it, if you just let me in." If Geneva could speak today, she would tell you, say yes to the invitation of Jesus. I'm confident of that. She would say yes to the invitation of Jesus. I want you to notice his invitation does not require that you get your life together. Jesus doesn't say, "Come to me all who are perfect." He says, "Come to me all who are weary." He doesn't say, "Come to me all who are religious." He says, "Come to me all who are burdened." And Geneva would also say that is the most important decision you could make in your life. That there is life after the grave, and the decisions you make here matter. And there's an invitation from Jesus, "Come to me." Geneva's death is not the end of her story, because the death of Jesus was not the end of his. Jesus did die for our sin on the cross, but he rose again. And Jesus asks that you open the door of belief to your soul and allow him to come in. You know, at that funeral service that Jesus had for his friend Lazarus, Jesus said this, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die." We say yes to Jesus by believing in his death and resurrection. And as a result, even in death, we will live. Death has been defeated. And death is but a shadow of reality. There's this old story that's told by this old pastor in Philadelphia. His name is Donald Barnhouse. He actually lost his wife in a tragic car accident. And one day when he was driving down the street with his daughter, trying to figure out how to talk with his daughter about the death of his wife, there was a large moving van that passed right by them. And as it passed, the shadow of the truck swept over the car. And this pastor turned to his little girl and said, "Would you rather be run over by the truck or by its shadow?" And that little girl, the daughter, said, "Well, I'd rather be run over by the shadow, of course. That can't hurt us at all." And so that father turned to his daughter and replied, "Right. If the truck doesn't hit you, but only its shadow, then you are fine. Well, it was only the shadow of death went over your mother. She's actually alive, more alive than we are. And that's because 2,000 years ago, the real truck of death hit Jesus. And because death crushed Jesus and we believe in him, now the only thing that can come over us is the shadow of death. And the shadow of death is but my entrance into glory. And so Geneva experienced the shadow of death, but she is very much alive today. Today we grieve the loss of Geneva. Our hearts hurts. There's a void that cannot be replaced. We long for another conversation, a late night Taco Bell run, another holiday. But we rejoice because Geneva only experienced the shadow of death. In your grief today, Jesus invites you to find rest in him. And maybe you're asking the question, is this really true? Is this invitation really for me? It is. Please don't leave here today without responding to that invitation. Jesus says, come to me, come and believe, and you will find rest. He invites you into relationship with him. He invites the weary and the burdened, and that's where we find ourselves. There will be many difficult days ahead for the family and for us who love Geneva. But can I encourage you with this? Jesus said, come to me. And so would you run to him and find the rest that your soul needs? Let me pray for us as we conclude. Father, it is with heavy hearts that we come to the end of this service. And God, we do want desperately to sing those words, it is well with our soul, but it's hard. But God, I do pray that we would come to you in our weariness and in our burdens, that we would come to you and we'd find rest. God, thank you that you are a God of grace and mercy and that you pour out abundantly. I pray that that would be something that we feel even today. I pray we would not run from our grief as we celebrate and remember, God, there's sorrow in our hearts. But God, would you remind us daily that Geneva is with you as she dances in heaven and waits. God, thank you for this time and thank you for the gift of Geneva. We pray these things in your name. Amen. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We'd like for you to join us in our Welcome Center. As you leave here, there's going to be snacks and drinks available to you. Love for you to be able to share with one another your memories of Geneva. You are dismissed. Thank you for letting me do that. That was an honor.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way, from where we began.
You know we started.
Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Let me tell you.
When I see you again.
both go out your way, and the vibe is feeling stronger. What's small turn to a friendship turn to a bond, and that bond will never be broken. The love will never get lost. And when brotherhood come first, then the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn, and that line is what we reach. So remember me when I'm gone. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride. Let the light guide your way. Yeah. Hold every memory as you go, and every road you take will always lead you home. Oh, it's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began.